So simply allow yourself to relax into being love. Hey guys, it's John here in the studio on this very gray day outside. And I wanted to hop on and make this video. It was something that I've been thinking about a lot. In all my private sessions with people, I hear them talking about all the methods, modalities, techniques, and spiritual practices and all the things that they're doing to find their connection to God, to find their connection to source, universe, consciousness, their higher self, yada, yada. It's all the same. And what I find really interesting is that it's the methods, modalities, and techniques that they're putting belief in that are taking them away from having that experience, in my opinion. You see, the thing is, it always comes down to belief and what you believe about this present moment. Many, many years ago, I was back in 1992, long before my first regression, 7 years prior to my first regression, in fact. I was doing a medieval fair in New Orleans, and it had been a record cold on the weekends. Here I was in the record cold, sleeping in a tent. And the week before, I saw a video on 60 Minutes about these Buddhist monks who could go into a freezer with wet towels on them, and they could increase their body temperature and raise the heat of the towels in that freezer. And to me, that was amazing that they could do that. But here I was in the middle of my own personal spiritual journey, years before my mom had told me that spirituality was a personal journey, and I needed to find what I believed. So I was searching through all of them. I no longer considered myself a Catholic, and nor at that point did I consider myself a Christian. I considered myself someone who was looking for what they believed, searching for that truth, my own personal truth. And what happened was, in this tent, I was freezing, and I had seen that show on TV, and I decided, well, if they can do it, so can I. And I laid there in that tent, and I just exhaled, and I just said, I'm focusing on my feet. And I broke it down to my feet. My feet are getting warm, and I started focusing on my feet getting warm, and I could feel my feet get warm. And then I slowly brought that heat up my shins to my knees, my thighs, my pelvis. It took me a good length of time. I was just slowly moving this up my body. And it came all the way up to my chest. And here I was at my chest, and I couldn't get it to go any higher. So I was like trying to force it to go higher, And it wouldn't go any higher. And I heard a thought. And the thought said, relax into it. And I exhaled, and suddenly, boom, I was one with everything. And everything was pure white. It's all I could see. I could feel the pure love of everything around me. And I was connected. I was hearing people's thoughts, and I was just totally connected to everything. And it was the most beautiful, amazing experience. The next morning, I woke up in that tent, and I was like, what the heck was that? I have no idea what that was. And I turned around to my comedy sword fighting partner at the time, who had been a longtime practicer of transcendental meditation. And I'm kind of explaining to him what I experienced the night before. He said, oh my God, you had a Kundalini rising. He says, I've been trying to have one of those for years. And I want to say that again. I've been trying to have one of those for years. See, he was in that mindset of try. And I was in the mindset of I am warming my body up with no expectations, no anchors to a belief, no anchors to a method, modality, or technique. I was not anchored to anything outside of just being in that moment and warming my body up, and I am. And then when I was informed to relax into it, was when it all happened. It's when I released attachment to any of those methods, modalities, or techniques, when I stripped away the beliefs that hindered my progress. Your present moment, if someone gives you a method or a modality or technique, it has a built-in timeline that said you have to do these steps to get to your enlightenment. Well, when you are doing this technique and you're trying to do this technique, you're never going to get there because you are literally manifesting a really good try. You have to believe you're receiving. You have to bring it into that expression. And the way you do that is say, yeah, I am receiving, and just exhale. Just relax into love. When I do my sitting in love in the morning and the evening, I literally just exhale and I just relax into the feeling. I'm not doing a mantra. I'm not doing counting my breaths. I'm not listening to anything music-wise. I'm just being in that moment. And the goosebumps rise and the feeling overwhelms me. And I just sit in that beautiful feeling of love. Relax into love. Relax into your oneness with the source. Exhale. Understand that when you are present moment and you are fearless, you are relaxing into love. Just relax and feel. Acknowledge the feeling within you, because the feeling at the bottom of that breath that you've just relaxed into is the connection to source. And the more you acknowledge the connection to source, what happens is you have this new experience that it fills your body even more so. And then next thing you know, you're sharing that love with the world. And the way you do that is by being it. You can't change the world, but you can make your part of the world so bright that the world chooses to save itself around you by your example. Be the love. Relax into the love. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It doesn't come with a set of things you must do. I recently mentioned in one of my videos that I'm drinking broth. And somebody contacted me saying, you can't just be broth. It has to be bone broth. And I thought that was rather funny, because the only reason she was saying that was because someone had told her it had to be bone broth. And she took that as her faith. She took that as her dogma, her diet dogma, that it had to be bone broth. There is no have to be's. You know, I've been doing fasts in the wintertime for almost a decade. I usually do a 40-day. This year I'm only doing 21 days. But that's because I'm combining it with another protocol that I'm doing. But anyway, long story short, I've been water fasting for 40 days. And in prepping for that water fast, I do zero carb. And I drink broth as part of the zero carb diet that I'm building into that. Well, she was told I had to be bone broth. And the reason this she was saying is because she had chosen a belief based on something she had heard or read. And for all those years I've been doing it, I've always just used regular broth, right? I don't believe there's a necessity for any of it. I can go 40 days with just water and be just fine. People will yell and holler saying, you have to have electrolytes. I can go 40 days with just water and be just fine. I've done it for a decade. You know, every year for 40 days, I've done it. And someone this morning was talking about, you're on a zero carb diet. You better make sure you're drinking a ton of water because you'll damage your kidneys. I've done this for a decade. I'm still here, right? The idea of that is that people will hear these things, they'll hear these scientific data that says they have to, and they create a diet dogma, right? That we have to do this to get this, right? My next door neighbors live a completely meat-free life. They're completely plant-based. And they're doing fine, right? I'm completely meat, cheese and dairy, meat, cheese, and dairy. I'm fine. I mean, right now, I feel better than I have in a long time. I'm in the process of dropping a ton of weight because I have literally dropped out all of the carbohydrates that are causing the insulin spikes that make you gain weight. But I've done it for a long time, and I understand that it works. I know that it works. I know that when I do this, I'm never hungry. I also know that I do drink water occasionally, but I usually drink water occasionally. But this whole idea of being afraid that you're not drinking enough water, that's, in my mind, it's a diet dogma that somebody said. Recently, they've come out to saying that whole thing about 8 glasses of water a day. They're like, it's not accurate. There's no scientific data that says that that's true, right? Now, my next door neighbors will tell you that all the data says that plant-based is the only way to go. I'm completely plant-less. I don't eat any plants or grains. And I'm telling you, it's the way to go, right? For me, there is no shoulds or have tos. Those are the dogmas of whatever discipline you're choosing to follow. And when you come to that space of realizing that you're going to choose what it is you're doing, and when you choose, you're going to start creating. But the reality of it is, just relax into it. Just exhale. Let go of the dogmas. Let go of the rituals. Let go of the ceremonies. Let go of the methodologies. Let go of them all. Just relax into it. Right there at the bottom of the breath is your connection to God. Relax into being that love. Relax into being the love you find there. And the more you relax into being love, there's no fear in perfect love. Bible literally says perfect love drives out fear. So relax into being love. Relax into being that expression of love. Walk through the world feeling that expression of love. You know, my good friend Marcy on her channel, she's really pushing into being more loving. Her whole channel is now based around that. And I highly suggest you go over and sign up and subscribe for her channel. It's at Spirit Made Me Do It. I think you'll find very quickly that there's more people out there who are pushing towards creating a loving world than there are people pushing for a negative world. The negative people just get better press because they do more atrocious things. But they're not the majority. They're the minority and getting smaller every day. The more we just relax into being love and just let go of the judgments and the painful anger that makes no sense. Racism, homophobia, Islamophobia. The word phobia means fear. Fear of. Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Make yourself phobia-less. Without phobia. And then when you are without phobia, you're living a loving life. Because that's the key, is to come back to that loving space. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Who is thou? Thou is love, because God is love. I fear no evil, because love is with me. Everything that you want to connect to with your higher self, with God, any of those things, any one of those things is an opportunity to just say, I am. I am love. And you are connected to your higher self, to God, to everything. When you have that experience. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope you take it with the love that it's intended. And you have a great day. And I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.